Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. Today, I want to talk to you on the subject matter, the arriving of the Antichrist. That subject came to mind. I was hearing something on the internet, and they mentioned something about the Antichrist. And immediately, it jumped out at me what they're going to tell you. And to me, that's not the message you need to hear. The message you need to hear is the message about life. About life. For this period of time, the Creator has caused a manifestation of you in the form of life. And this moment in time is just as important as was the beginning, and it is just as important as is the end, for they are all one and the same. If you are familiar with the truth. Now, I'm not going to speak to you in the form of speaking about the whole dead blasted world. That's too deep for you to understand, or for me to even give it to you in a way that you could understand. Not only that, and all the different socializations that we have and their forms offer its own problems. And so what I would like to do is give you that which you are most familiar with, and that is we, the American people. I wish I had a teleprompter so when I talk to you, it won't be so disturbing as it is going to be with me bobbing my head down and forth to follow my notes that I've given for you. However, the truth of it is, this is all I got, and so we're going to do the best we can. So sit back and relax and open up your mind, open up your heart, and let's see where we go with this. For the purpose of this presentation, I will talk about the Antichrist as it applies to we, the United States of America. First, I want to establish what Christ represents as far as humans living in bodies on this earth during these times. Christ represents basic human rights for all humans. Translated, it means humans are to live on this earth as if they are living in some imagined heaven. Humans are to live in peace, be prosperous, live free, joyous, happy, and living their dreams. Unlimited food and clothing and shelter, education, healthcare, transportation, and access to all created by the hands of man as need, as want, or desire dictates. At any time, humans have the right. Now this, I'm going to hold up, let me back up before I say this. I just explained to you how you're supposed to live in heaven on this earth. All your needs and wants are going to be met, are to be met. They were designed to be met. The resources are here. The desires of your heart are within you. The mechanisms to cause it to happen are amongst us. But the only thing is missing is the will. And the will truly is based upon some fake information that we have gotten. Okay. One last thing. After all is said and done, after having all of this information, whether you use it or not, as an individual with all of the rights that you have been given, there's one that every last one of you have got, and it is as equal to your birth, and that is your getting out of this planet. That's your dying, your demise. And you got the choice. You got the number one hold on that. And that is one of the most powerful instruments that every individual got. Why? Let somebody else determine whether you live or die or not, when you got the power in your own hand to make a choice. Now, I just got through sharing with you about the Christ. Now let's talk about the Antichrist. That's the arriving of the Antichrist. Well, the Antichrist represents the opposite of all that Christ is. Rather than rights for all, rights are rewarded for loyalty. The masses must live in chaos, struggling, fighting one another for survival, trapped, despondent, hopeless, and bound in a form of slavery. Many hungry, homeless, experience poverty, crime and violence, terror, hatred, racism, killings, and even war. Now listen to me good. America has always been controlled by the Antichrist, but somewhat limited, at some restrictions that kept her somewhat tamed, we say. Now, during the arrival, listen to me good. Here's where we begin to learn our lesson. During the arrival of Donald Trump on the political scene, things took a different twist. You see, Trump is an evil man that believes all men are evil, and may the most evil be king. And he wants to be king. So he boldly proclaims of his evils. And will try to flip if he gets caught into something. Now his antics allowed and gave permission to all those ready to step deeper in Antichrist to come on out. And come on out they did. Preachers, governors, state representatives, lawyers, judges, generals, senators, congressmen, billionaires, millionaires, Christians, all by the millions joined the Antichrist team. Now, they are identified because many will say, well, what do you mean? Well, they are identified by their willingness to lie, to cheat, to belittle, to spout hate, to threaten violence, to terrorize, to resist truth, to con, willingness to rescind constitutional protocol, to rewrite history with lies. I mean, it goes on and on. And on top of all that, they're willing to make legislation that causes pain and suffering to the citizenry. Just to name a few. Now, when I say stuff like that, I always like to say that I put myself in a position that right now I need some medical care, some medicine, since I can't get the cure from the system that we have here. Medication. And they tell me that in a month or two, this medication will cost me over $400 a month. $400 a month. Doesn't that sound like a joke? So I ask, why do I have to pay $400 a month for some medication that they say I need in order to survive? I mean, that's not okay with me. So I ask you, why is that okay with you? I mean, if you can't pay and you got caught up in the same kind of situation, is it okay with you? I mean, you would probably feel better if it was not okay with a lot of people and not you standing alone, because it's not okay with me and it shouldn't be okay with you. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm upset because I know that the same thing applies to you. And I know what it takes to change that. It takes you and I to agree. Well, the plan is to cause so much confusion that no one will know what's going on. And evil works are planned to steal perhaps the presidential election again, this time willing to do to its citizens what other fascist, evil dictators, representatives of the Antichrist, do to their slaves, abuse them more, and even kill them. Now, usually, that kind and amount of power encourages bullying other people. It encourages bullying other countries. When it comes to this, humans always have the choice, Christ or Antichrist, righteous or evil, always. And there's no in between. Somebody got you thinking there's in between. There's no in between. There is no in between. One must be reminded Christ requires more than singing and preaching. Christ requires houses for the homeless, education for the uneducated, health care for those that need it. It requires careers of choice that allows all to participate in the process, creating an abundance that none will be without and engaged in the process, making everyone entitled. Have you heard what has been said? The message is the entire world of humans are deceived. All humans on earth are deceived. My mom and daddy, your mom and daddy, your grandparents and their grandparents, and the preachers and the church folks, everybody's deceived. You see, the entire world, and that means people in other places as well. What has been given to humans freely and given as a birthright has been hijacked by a godlike wannabe. And humans, all of the human beings, have chosen a visible type to honor their king rather than one another, because they have so little respect for themselves. If they were awake, they would know that honoring God is through one another. And heaven is produced by one another for one another. But presently, the good, the bad, and the ugly is on the path to hell, creating a deeper version of hell for their children, for their grandchildren, and their great-grands, until change comes or destruction. The Antichrist, my friend, is not arriving. The Antichrist has been here full blast. It's just getting more apparent today. And this message is hopefully to make you aware that you got choice. You really got choice. The invisibility does not take away the fact that the earth exists. And the desires of your heart, just because you do not have them, does not take away the possibility that they can exist. You know why you're not receiving them. Disengage all of that and try something new with a goal to receive them. Until next time, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye for now.